It has been quite some time since you've done some video notes. So let's try out some little video notes. We're going to finish up packet 2 today. So remember, the packet 2, these packets are really just mostly for practice. We're going to do a little bit of review, but we're not going to go through every single problem. And you might not have time to go through every single problem in class, and that's okay. This is something for you to be able to take home and for you to work on when you would like some extra review. So we're going to talk about slope. We've got 4 types of slope. We've got slope that goes uphill, which is positive slope. We've got negative slope, a horizontal line. Horizontal has a 0 slope, and then a line that is going up and down is called undefined. When we are looking for slope, we are counting. You're going to count and see between your 2 dots how far. Let's zoom in a little bit. How far did I have to rise? I rose 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To the right 5. Our slope is always our rise over our run, which is 4 to 5. Okay? You can pause the video and practice those slopes if you would like to. I will be walking around and checking as you work. If you feel like you're golden on that, let's keep on going. So when you have 2 points, I know that so many times you guys use stat, and I'm not going to tell you that that's not okay. When it comes to testing time, I think use the strategies you know, and stat calc 4 would absolutely answer these for us. But we have that slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's our actual legit slope formula, and that should be on your algebra EOC formula chart. So you have my first x, my first y, my second x, and my second y. So -4 minus a -1, which is really like plus, which would give me -3. And then -2, sorry, not -2, -3 minus a -12, which is really like plus, would give me a +9. And I'm going to simplify that down. If you use stat is going to give you a decimal. I want you turning those decimals into fractions. I want all of these slopes to be in fractions. Okay? We can pause the video and we can practice on that. So we have 2 different types of forms that we see equations in. This is why we talk about slope. We have slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. That m being my slope, that b being my y-intercept. When we are graphing, we have to use slope-intercept form. In order to be able to graph something, which is going to come up later here, you have to be able to put them in slope-intercept form. Because a lot of times in algebra, they like to give us in standard form. Some number attached to x plus some number attached to y equals c. So let's hop in. I'm going to skip over 34. And let's do 35. This will give us the most work. So my goal is to get that equation down to y equals. So I need to subtract 4x from both sides. So I'm left with 10y equals negative 4x minus 10. Notice we do not combine those and make it negative 14 because only one of those has an x. Once I've moved my x to the other side, I'm going to divide everything by that y coefficient. So that's going to give me 1, which is going to leave me y equals negative 4 over 10. It's going to reduce to negative 2 over 5x. Negative 10 over 10 is going to leave me with 1. So my slope-intercept form, y equals negative 2 over 5x minus 1. Those fractions, negative 4 over 10, I want you to reduce them if possible. So my slope here, negative 2 over 5. My y-intercept is going to be negative 1. I do not want you to skip these 3 practice problems. I want you right now to pause the video and work out 34, 36, and 37 because the rest of this is almost pretty much impossible without being able to turn things into slope-intercept form. So pause the video. Let's do those 3 practice problems now before you continue. When we are solving for intercepts, when I solve for the x-intercept, I set the y equal to 0, and I solve for x. So I could say 0 is equal to 2x minus 10. So I can add 10 to both sides. I'm just taking that y and replacing it with 0. So 10 is equal to 2x. That gives me 0. Dividing by 2. X is equal to 5. That graph crosses that x-axis when x is equal to 5. To find our y-intercept, we're going to do the exact opposite. We're going to set the x equal to 0 and solve for y. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite my equation. Y equals 2x minus 10. Except now we're going to replace that x with a 0. 2 times 0 gives me a fat old 0. Y is equal to negative 10. If I can figure out those 2 points on a graph, I can pretty much graph it. By graphing the x-intercept, graphing the y-intercept, and then just connecting them with a straight line because these are linear. Okay? We're going to pause the video. I want you to work out 39, 40, 41. While you work, I'll be coming around. Good news, we only have one more section and we are graphing. Something huge for us to point out is when we are graphing, we have to convert to slope-intercept form when necessary. If my equation does not start out y equals, I need to change it and make it start out with y equals. I'm going to come down, let's come down to 47. If we can do 47 together, you can do all the rest of them by yourself. So my goal is to get y equals by itself. So I need to subtract 3x from both sides. Negative 2y equal to negative 3x minus 6. Then we're dividing everything by a negative 2. Y equals negative 3 divided by negative 2 would be a positive 3/2. Leave your slope as a fraction. Do not turn it into a decimal. X, negative 6 divided by negative 2 is going to be a positive 3. When we graph, the very first thing that we do, let's see if I can move the screen without making us all sick. We're going to graph that y-intercept at a positive 3. This right here is my first dot. And then I'm going to use that slope, that rise, and my run. I'm going to rise 1, 2, 3, run 1, 2, and make a dot. Rise 1, 2, 3, run too. It's going off the graph, but it gives me a good idea. I can also go backwards. I can go backwards 3 and backwards 2 and make a dot. Backwards 3, backwards 2, and make a dot. Once I've got several dots, I'm going to use the edge of my calculator screen, my ID, whatever, and I'm going to connect it with a straight line. Our biggest issue here, we have to turn it into slope-intercept form before I can graph, okay? That is where we're going to end today, okay? So the video is going to end. Keep working through those practice problems. Any problems that you skipped, you can go back to. You can also be working on that vocab crossword. Let's go.